Okay, so here's something to think about. Australia spends billions on AI every year, but most of that money doesn't even stay in the country.
That's a wild thought. And it's just one of the stories we're diving into today.
Welcome to DeActa Daily Digest. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Juniper. Here are today's top stories.
First up, we're talking about Australia's push to turn its data center infrastructure into a homegrown AI powerhouse. Then, we'll look at the collapse of a 60-day truce in the Strait of Hormuz and what that means for global stability. Finally, we'll explore how AI is driving a global memory chip shortage, with companies like Micron Technology reaping the benefits.
Let's start with Australia. This story really highlights how countries are trying to position themselves in the AI economy. Andrew Charlton, the Assistant Minister for Science, Technology, and the Digital Economy, made a compelling case for why Australia needs to do more than just host data centers.
Right. Charlton's argument is that Australia has this incredible infrastructure advantage, but it's not enough to just provide the land and electricity for data centers. He's saying the country needs to build an ecosystem that generates its own AI research, intellectual property, and economic opportunities.
And he's not wrong. Australia's AI spending is growing at an incredible rate, doubling every year, according to Charlton. If that trend continues, it could hit $40 billion annually within a decade.
But here's the problem. Most of that money doesn't stay in Australia. Charlton pointed out that only a small fraction of AI spending goes to things like electricity and physical infrastructure. The bulk of it flows to chips, servers, software, and intellectual property, areas dominated by foreign companies.
That's why he's pushing for policies like Expectation 5, which is part of the National Data Center Expectations. This policy asks data center developers to provide access to computing power for Australian startups, researchers, and small businesses.
It's a smart move. By making compute resources more accessible, Australia could foster a new wave of innovation. Charlton also talked about how AI deployment might evolve, with cheaper models handling routine tasks and more advanced models tackling complex problems.
And that's where the strategic implications come in. If Australia can capture more value across the AI stack, it could become a major player in the Indo-Pacific region. Charlton even highlighted some of Australia's existing strengths, like medical imaging, agriculture, and quantum research.
But the challenge is turning those strengths into Australian-owned value. It's not just about having the talent or the infrastructure. It's about creating an ecosystem where innovation can thrive.
It's a big challenge, but also a huge opportunity. All right, let's pivot to the second story: the escalating tensions around the Strait of Hormuz.
This one's intense. The 60-day truce that was supposed to lead to a permanent settlement has completely fallen apart. Both the US and Iran are blaming each other for breaking the agreement, and now we're back to hostilities.
The stakes couldn't be higher. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the most critical shipping lanes in the world. Any disruption there has massive ripple effects on global oil prices and the economy.
And Iran has been asserting control over the strait, even firing on vessels using alternate routes. The US responded with strikes on Iranian targets, and Iran retaliated by attacking countries hosting American forces.
It's a dangerous escalation. Iran is demanding the lifting of the US blockade, the withdrawal of American forces, and compensation for wartime damages. Meanwhile, the US insists that Iran should pay reparations and argues that American forces should control the strait.
And let's not forget the broader implications. Iran's economy is already suffering from sanctions and international isolation. Inflation is mounting, and there's a real risk of domestic unrest.
But at the same time, the US seems to be banking on economic pressure to force Iran to back down. It's a risky strategy, especially with Iran-aligned Houthi forces in Yemen attacking Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea.
It's like a domino effect of instability. The interim deal had briefly increased shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, but now it's fallen back to a fraction of pre-war levels.
And that decline, coupled with reduced Iranian oil flows, is pushing up fuel and goods prices globally. Both sides are digging in their heels, hoping the other will yield.
It's a grim reminder of how interconnected and fragile our global systems are. All right, let's move on to our final story: the AI-driven memory chip shortage and its impact on companies like Micron Technology.
This one's fascinating. Aristotle Capital Management's Q2 investor letter highlighted how AI is reshaping the semiconductor and memory markets. Micron, in particular, has been a standout performer, with its shares surging due to an intensifying DRAM shortage.
That shortage is being driven by the prioritization of high bandwidth memory, HBM, for AI accelerators, which is coming at the expense of conventional DRAM and NAND supply.
It's a classic case of supply and demand, but with some unique twists. Micron's management even described this as the tightest DRAM shortage in 15 years.
And they're seeing large sequential price increases, somewhere between 30% and 40%. They think this tightness will continue beyond 2026.
What's interesting is how this is changing investor perceptions. Memory is increasingly being seen as a scarce, mission-critical input for AI infrastructure, rather than just a commodity business.
And Micron is adapting to this new reality. They're moving toward multi-year, pre-negotiated HBM supply agreements, which could lift margins and reduce the cyclicality that's traditionally plagued the memory industry.
It's a smart strategy, especially as AI continues to drive demand for computing power. Aristotle Capital's letter also flagged some broader market trends, like the concentration of returns in AI-related sectors and the ongoing resilience of economic indicators like GDP growth and unemployment.
It's a complex picture. On one hand, you have these incredible opportunities in AI and semiconductors. On the other hand, there are risks like geopolitical tensions and inflationary pressures.
It's a reminder that even in a booming sector, there are challenges to navigate. So, what's your big takeaway from today's stories?
For me, it's the importance of strategic foresight. Whether it's Australia trying to build a sovereign AI ecosystem, the US and Iran navigating a high-stakes standoff, or companies like Micron adapting to new market dynamics, the common thread is the need to think long-term.
Well said. My takeaway is that we're living in a world where technology, geopolitics, and economics are more intertwined than ever. The decisions we make today will shape the opportunities and challenges of tomorrow.
Absolutely. All right, that's all for today.
Thanks for the conversation. Until next time.
Take care.